talk about proportional and non-proportional relationships. And so first of all, proportional relationships can be represented by tables, graphs, and equations. So what I've done is I've done an example of each below here. Okay, tables, graphs, and equations. And so first of all, we have an equation, y equals 3x. We have a table of that equation, which is what we've looked at. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Now from lesson 3.5, what would we call this on that table? What would that be called?
Something about
Linear
or something.
Let's look at the y's. What would that be called? If I just look strictly at the y's, what would that be called in section 3.5?
Algebraic expression.
And it starts with an A, arithmetic sequence. So that's an arithmetic sequence. The common difference is? 3. Good. Okay, and then we have a graph. And so if you notice, basically what we've done is we've taken the information in the table and we've graphed it. Okay, notice the graph goes through the point 0, 0, then it goes through the point 1, 3, 2, 6, and so on. So proportional relationships, tables, graphs, and equations. And so let's go ahead and look at this example. It says Marcos is a personal trainer at a gym. In addition to his salary, he receives a bonus for each client he sees. And so notice what they've got down there. If he sees one client, he gets a bonus of $45. If he sees another, 90, another 135, 4 clients gets him $180, and 5 clients gets him $225. Now notice what it says, graph the data. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through and graph the data. Now when we graph the data, I'm going to do the y-axis in terms of 5s. Okay, and so the y-axis is going to be in terms of 5s. And so with that in mind, I need somebody to come up and put a dot at the very first point. I don't care, here's the gray pen. Somebody needs to come up and put a dot. The very first one. Okay, so the very first one is at 145.
That's not right.
Wait. I like making dots.
Okay, there you go. Okay, somebody needs to come up and do the next one. That one is 290.
Yeah, I can do that one.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. Where would the next one be at?
Way up there.
Yep.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
So are we gonna run out of room?
That's a really
Yes.
good song.
So what would be a better thought to go for? What should we go?
You can fit.
5s wouldn't work, let's try 10s.
Let's go by 20.
Okay, so let's try going by 10s. So if we go by 10s, we've got 10 right here. So the first one will be at 10, 20, 30, 45. The next one will be at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, go with the next one then. We'll see where we're at.
If you would do like tens on the y-axis, would you have to do tens on
Nope.
the x? You could have those different.
Yes.
Well, you wanted
3. Okay. All right, next one.
That's a nice dot.
4, 180.
Get over it.
Come on, Kylie.
I believe
Come
in you,
on.
Kylie.
Let's go, Kelsey. Let's go, Kelsey.
Grab it.
Grab
it. Click. Who did that?
Okay.
Clay
Oh,
page.
4, 180. Yep.
This is 90. Okay.
You
Oh,
missed
this
your
is 135.
chance.
Yep.
You struck out.
Okay, next one. 5 to 25. Let's see where we're at.
I was gonna go with it.
I was hoping you can go through that.
You could be Clay. Like physically beat
Like-
him.
Who are you talking to?
You.
You.
Oh. I wasn't even paying attention.
Oh. I did that on purpose.
Okay, so now I'm looking at those. Okay, I want you to tell me, what do you notice in looking at the data?
It makes a line.
It makes a line. Okay, so what do you notice the difference between each of these points is going to be?
45.
45. So basically, I'm increasing by 45 every time. So we call this a proportional relationship. What happens at 0?
Zero.
0, 0.
Nothing.
It's 0, 0. You don't make anything if you don't see any clients in terms of bonus pay. And so actually, this is a proportional relationship. So with that in mind, we're going to write an equation for it. And so we're going to write an equation using the techniques we did in section 3.5. And so I'm going to look, what am I doing here every time?
Adding 45.
I'm adding 45. And every time I'm up here, I'm adding how many? 1. Okay? So really, what I'm doing here is I'm taking 45 times x. Would you agree? If x is 1, I get 45.
Yep.
If x is 2, I get 90.
Yep.
If x is 3. And so really, y equals 45 times x. So what you're going to do is see how much the y increases, and then you're going to take that times x. So with that in mind, I want you to tell me how much will Mark make if he sees 8 clients? So I want you to tell me again, how much does Mark make if he sees 8 clients? Nope. No dollar sign if you didn't hear that.
Yeah, there's a dollar sign on
Oh, that's a mini mark.
Dude, that's sweet.
You don't need colander, it's fine.
There's 2 bread.
Why are there like 3 Maddie's and 2 breads?
There's
I
only
must
one.
have.
Of everyone.
There's only 1 bread.
There must be something funny there. That's okay. Just we'll go ahead and enter it in. Did everybody enter in an amount?
Oh,
Why didn't my twin enter one?
not yet.
Because a twin.
Okay, so 8
Twice as long.
clients. How much will Mark make?
Why does one Maddie Rakowski have Maddie first and all the rest have Rakowski first?
Why are there just 3 per people?
Probably because we did it.
Maddie has
there's one of
Oh,
each
yeah.
starting with last name and one starting with first.
Huh?
This
Maddie
is
has
messed up.
3.
All right, so let's go and see what we ended up
That
with.
makes me feel not special.
And the answer is $360.
Somebody
So how we got the 360 is we took 45 times 8. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this next one. It says a professional soccer team is donating money to a local charity for each goal they score. So the first thing is to graph the data. And so this time I'm going to go by 25s. Okay? And the reason why I'm going to go by 25s is I noticed that those are all multiples of 25. And so the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and plot 175. So here would be 175. The next one would be 2 150. The next one would be 3 225. The next one is 4 300. And the final one is 5 375. So once again, what do you notice? It's in a line, so what type of relationship would this be? Proportional. Okay, so now based on that, we're gonna write an equation. And so if you look, what am I doing? I'm increasing by 1 every time. What am I doing on the bottom?
75.
I'm increasing by 75, so can somebody tell me what would be the equation? Y equals
75 times X.
75 times x. So I want you to predict the amount of money that would be donated for 12 goals. Predict the amount of money that would be donated for 12 goals.
What?
Oops.
Probably true.
Predict the amount of money that would be donated for 12 goals. Everybody had a chance to answer? Okay, so let's see how much we got. Oops,
Oh,
well, the
we
answer
all
was,
got it right.
it went real quick, but the answer was actually 300. So
What?
anyway,
300?
how we got 300 not 300, I take that back, 900. We're gonna take 75 times 12,
I
which is
added.
$900. So let's go ahead and look at the next, I'm having trouble with it, so here we go. Non-proportional relationships. Okay, now notice this is not a proportional relationship. Why? What is different with this graph? Yeah.
So it doesn't go through 0, 0.
It doesn't go through 0, 0. So a graph is non-proportional if it doesn't go through 0, 0. And so if you look at this graph, it looks like it's been shifted up, how many?
3.
Oh,
Six.
Six. So if I would actually shift this graph down 6, it would be a proportional relationship. But now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and write an equation for that graph. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first of all see how much is it increasing for every one of the x's. And so how much is it going up for every one of the x's? 3. It's going up. So if it was proportional, my answer would be 3x, right? But it's not proportional because it doesn't start at 0, 0. So now what you're going to do is you're going to add something right here. And you're going to add the point that it starts with.
Plus 6.
And so I'm just going to put a plus 6 because it starts at 6. Now if it would have started at 20, I would have put plus 20. If it would have started at -5, I would have put -5. So first of all, the proportional relationship, we're going to look at another one of these. Okay, proportional relationship starts at 0, 0. This one doesn't, so this is a non-proportional relationship. So what I need to do is see how far it goes up from point to point. So let's pick 2 points here. What am I actually finding? What is that called? Slope. That's right. All you're doing is finding the slope. And so between these 2 points, what do I do? Or actually, here would be another point. What do? I go up how many? 2. I go over 1. So my equation is going to start off as y equals 2x. Now, remember, I'm going to add that little part. Where do I start? So where do I start my graph? -4. That's right. So that would be your equation. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at this one. Write an equation in function notation for the table. Write an equation in function notation for the table. So what am I doing each time as I go from here to here? I'm subtracting 1, so really I know my equation is y equals -1x, right? Now I've got to find that little part right here where it starts at.
It
So-
starts at 1.
Ideas, let's think about that.
We'll do it. 4.
Believe it or not, that's right. Okay, now, for those of you that are wondering, the reason is because really it's always where x equals 0, right? And x equals 0 is right there. Now look at our pattern. What are we doing? We're increasing, so really what number would go with 0? 4. Okay, nice job. So your answer is at -1x plus 4. So you're always looking where x equals 0. Okay, what I need you to do then, and this is actually going to be due Thursday, since we have the ITBS tomorrow, I need you to go ahead and do page 200 through 201, 4 through 12. So let's go ahead and look at page 200. Okay? Page 200. On page 200, number 4 is exactly like what we did in class. 5 through 8 are just what we ended with. 9 and 10, once again, real similar to what we ended with. And 11 and 12, real close to what we ended with. Now, those will be due, remember, on Thursday. You have the rest of the time to work.